Building 7 is still ridiculous. WTC Building 7 collapse on 9/11 is still the most ridiculously obvious proof of controlled demolition to this day. The fact that to this day most of the world assumes 2 buildings only fell on 9/11 is proof the disinformation program is complete. Nothing was ever more obvious than that. Also, the fact that 2 members of the Bush family were in charge of World Trade Center complex security at the time. Wirt Walker and Marvin Bush were heads of StraightSec Securicom. Building 7 falling perfectly symmetrically at free fall speed. Also, they tried to tie the anthrax attacks into the Muslim extremist narrative. Until it became clear the anthrax originated from a US military base and the whole thing was dropped like a hot potato. I didn't really believe any of the conspiracy theories until I was red-pilled on B7. It's shocking they can get away with literally blowing up a building and nobody, media, politicians, etc., even says anything. It also opened my eyes to how pathetically brainwashed people are. They lack the capacity to even consider the facts of B7. Any news yet of a photo of whatever hit Pentagon that day? As with most all of 9/11, evidence hauled away almost immediately from a crime scene. Steel falling and seemingly evaporating. Squids seen as the building was coming down. Explosions. How does a jet fuel fire at the top demolish a building to the ground? Evidence of incendiary devices. How both buildings were hit at the big data rooms, their respective companies. And more, Bush's brother owning the company who provided security to the buildings. Suspicious work being done to the core of the buildings and elevator shafts. Way too many coincidences for me. Because people do not fucking care. They just wanna never forget and feel justified about having pro-war views. Shit. Just mention Building 7 and normies look at you like you're the crazy one. Like you fucking tell me how a building not hit by any planes supposedly just falls cause some other ones fell nearby. This was the beginning of it all for me. Don't forget the dancing Israelis, Gelatin, E-Team, Odigo. So we pulled it. Op. Edit snip. Still, you ask most people and they haven't realized that the South Tower was hit second and collapsed first. It only burned for 56 minutes. That is a huge big fat clue. I'm going to point out again that Grenfell Tower in London burned for 60 hours in 2017 and is still standing to this day. I just don't believe Building 7 collapsed from fires. A robbery then? Can someone fill me in on this? I know the basics. That supposedly the building caught fire from debris from one of the towers. And eventually falls at free fall speed into its footprint. Now that alone is strange enough. But I'm getting that there seems to be more to it than that. Even the Saudis and goat herders in the deserts were saying this was an inside job the day after the attacks. But the American public were so enraged they never paused and asked if the Twin Towers were hit by airplanes who brought down Building 7. BBC reported it before it even another coincidence though, right? There's plenty of video of the collapse. And there just doesn't seem to be any blast sounds at the time of the collapse. Donald Rumsfeld reported trillions of dollars had gone missing the day before 9/11. What part of the Pentagon do you think was hit by the plane? People are so unaware and almost seem uninterested in any other narratives that aren't told by the mainstream media or government. So many sheep. Right. And when people that shit on conspiracy theories say someone would talk not only has a former CIA dude made a deathbed confession about how they used too much ordnance and did too good of a job. It's like, open your fucking eyes. It's there for all to see. But brainwashed Moroccans don't want to question the mass delusion. Truly sad and pathetic. I've read a lot of debunking, but if it were debunked, why did they never have Building 7 in any 9/11 narrative? Just a lost building. I have watched and read a lot of 9/11 information. If anyone can recommend anything, please do so. A lot of people forgot that before the tower demolition they put hurricane-proof windows in a building near the towers. There was a lot of questions about that and accusations about something being planned. I personally think that it's just as absurd that, from one of the most secure military buildings in America, we were only able to capture 5 frames of such a massive event as a plane hitting the Pentagon and vaporizing. Not one video of it. Not from a personal camera. News camera. Nothing, even though there was awareness that we were under attack for over 30 minutes. Not one news camera in the entire DC area noticed a fucking 757 maneuvering and basically landing in a perfect enough way to hit a 5-story building in our nation's capital. 5 frames. None of which show a plane. Biggest lie IMO. The working class does not rule the land. Never has. The ruling elite does whatever they want and get away with it. How does it make you feel as an American to watch something as horrific as that was, and also how obvious that it was being engineered right in front of us? Then everybody believes it. I got a reputation as a flake for trying to convince people what really happened. I could not even get anybody to talk to me about it. Even now, many years later, nobody believes me. It just lets you know that you are no more than a fly speck when it comes to trying to smarten people up. Building 6 collapse was another one that I have not heard explained. Then there was the Ryder truck full of gold that got abandoned where it got stuck. Quick mention of it, then that story was gone. It's funny that there is a wide overlap in people who believe 9/11 was an inside job during a Republican administration, and yet the overwhelming majority of those same people still ultimately vote for Republicans, even if they try to say they are libertarians or independents. Jupp, I completely agree with that. I mean, the owner is documenting saying let's pull it if memory serves. He tried to say he meant pull the rescue workers. I heard a first the other day. It couldn't have been brought down by explosives because it would have made a much louder noise. The problem is that there's no video of its collapse that also has audio. And of course this is by design. Just like it was by design to not collapse until all the sheep in the area had been removed. So nobody was there to hear anything. The truth is the truth, and once it's been established it becomes very simple to defend it. The plane that went down in the field, I often wonder if Building 7 was the target. And the BBC had the script. Unfortunately, the building didn't fall at 12 p.m. like it was supposed to, but 23 minutes later. So Jane Standley is talking about the collapsed WTC-7 while it is there standing right behind her. The official explanation, years later, was that it was confusing and no one knew what was going on. Good news organization, eh? Amazing that they got something so wrong. But then what they had misreported actually happened. Eh? That building held the entire Enron documents. Remember Enron? No. No one does. Because it never happened. Can somebody educate me? I was 19 when 9/11 and have never heard about WTC-7 until now. I just went down a rabbit hole. Crazy.